Hi, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of Different Strokes. Today, we will be in conversation with Surya Suresh and Jayat Joshi. Surya Suresh is a pre-final year student at IIT Madras, and Jayat Joshi is a third year student at IIT Madras who also is the head of the Institute Branding Cell of his college. Let's get to know more about their story and see what their inspiring story holds for us. Hi, Jayat and Surya. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you with us. I would really like you guys to give a quick introduction of yourselves.
Hi, Alina. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting us to the show. I had the opportunity to actually listen to a couple of episodes of your show, so I'm really happy to be here myself. I am Surya, an electrical engineering senior at IIT Madras. I'm pursuing a master's in data science as well. And I'm the co-host of The Other Side, along with Sabyasachi Mishra. So I think I'll keep the introduction very brief. I'm a huge fan of content creation. I've been a part of the Institute newspaper as well, and I write quite a bit myself. And now I've moved on to podcasts, and it's a medium that really excites me. And I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about it as we go through the interview.
Absolutely. What about you, Jayat?
Thank you so much for having us over today, and thank you so much for Dare to Compete for partnering with us. I'm a third year undergraduate in the Humanities and Social Sciences department. I am pursuing a master's degree in Development Studies and Economics, and I also head the Institute Branding Cell, which is a body that works under the aegis of the Institute's International and Alumni Relations Student Council.
Okay. That's great. IAR Students Council collaborated with the other side, which is an already running and existing podcast channel hosted by Surya and Sabyasachi. So, how did this collaboration come about, and when and how did you decide that okay, this is the way to go forward?
Early on this year, the idea popped up within the team, within the INDR Student Council, that we should shift to a podcast mode of content creation. And that is something that has grown and that has seen a rise in consumers in the recent years, especially students. And so podcast is a very relaxed form in which you can, listen to something productive even while you're doing other things. And especially with given the hit that the COVID-19 pandemic has, the effect that it has had on all of us, this seemed to be about the right time to, build that close connection with our community, make sure that our younger or people who were just graduating, students who were just graduating, or our younger alumni had the opportunity to connect and to reach out to people who were at the top of the game already in the at the industry level, and to help them build resilience and innovation. And so that's where it started from. Surya and Sabya had by that time already started The Other Side, and we already had an in-house expertise. And so it all fell in line. The pieces fell together, and it seemed like this would be the right way to go about it, because one of the functions of the student council is to help our student community and our alumni community connect and provide them leverage.
So yeah, as Jayat mentioned, we've been in collaboration with the Institute Alumni Relations team for I think a couple of months now. Sabya and I started The Other Side podcast in February this year, and ideation started around Jan of this year. So the reasons behind us starting this podcast is quite simple actually. So I have finished 4 years of college life. Sabya has finished 5 years. He's graduated this year. So I think one of the key realizations both of us had was the importance of mentors in our journey so far. We have been fortunate to have someone to reach out to at different stages of our college journey, someone to talk to when we have had confusions about which path to take and what would be right for us. And so hearing their experiences, hearing their stories, they helped shape our paths, and they helped us make informed decisions. So I think The Other Side just came out naturally from this. We felt there wasn't enough of such a conversation in IIT Madras. There is a lot, but we felt it could benefit from maybe a structured way through a podcast. So that was one reason behind us starting a podcast. Besides that, we also thought that there are so many stories out there, inspiring stories of people who have done a lot of things after their college lives. So we felt that this podcast could enable us to contextualize these stories, present a balanced picture of both the ups and downs and all the effort that goes through when a person becomes successful. So that was another reason. I think personally for myself, after 4 years, I've been in so many societies in college, but I think there's always that tiny desire in you that you want to start something of your own. That bug at least kept biting me. So I think even though the podcast is just a small thing, it was that desire to start something during my college life came through in the form of this podcast. So those were the three main reasons why we started it. And the I and AR series, that is from Insti and Beyond, the reasons behind doing it was to get senior alums of IIT Madras who could really contribute and really change the way people think about their careers and probably shape some of the decisions they make in the next few years.
Okay, I must say, Surya, that's an excellent initiative from Insti and Beyond and the other side. And I really wish you guys the best and hope that you guys get a lot many listeners on your podcast channel. But Surya, I am curious to know, why did you decide to go ahead with the podcast channel and not look forward to conducting such interviews or such sessions on video? Why that and why not somebody else, something else?
Sure. I think that's a question we have asked ourselves many times, even though we've started the podcast and it's been 4 months. I think when we started out, it was simply the fact that both Savya and I had actually been hearing podcasts for a very long time. So he's a huge fan of cricket, so he hears the cricket podcast by Gaurav Kapoor, I think, if I'm not wrong. And I'm a business enthusiast myself, so I listen to TechCrunch's podcast and some venture capital podcasts. So at that stage, when we were just thinking of doing something for the student community, we were so enthusiastic about podcasts that we just started out. I wouldn't lie and say that it was a very well thought out vision, because it wasn't. I think one thing we kept in mind is for students like us, it was slightly easier to create a niche for ourselves in the podcast market. YouTube is kind of saturated right now. Like, to get attention from the crowd, you just have to differentiate yourself so much. So it seemed easier to get into the podcast market. And I think we've been kind of validated because we are in the top 20 to top 30 of the charts in our categories, at least. So there seems to be a little less competition there. That was one reason. And to answer your question, I think articles as a form, I've been a part of it myself. I think in today's digital age, people are very reluctant to read 30 to 40 minutes of interviews, which is what we conduct. So that was never on our mind. But video definitely is, and I think we are looking forward to pivot to YouTube along with Spotify in the next few months.
We wish you the best for that as well, Surya, and we hope that whenever, as and when you decide to build a YouTube channel, we'll all get to talk to you again about that. Coming on to you, Jayat, tell us something about IAR Students Council. What is it about, and how is it handling the Alumni Relations Society at your campus?
The IIT Student Council, which is the International and Alumni Relations Student Council, is a student-run organization. And we work under a specific dean, the Dean of International and Alumni Relations. And so we are a cell that is comprised of 5 different bodies. One of them is called the Alumni Relations Cell, which takes care of alumni engagement. One of them is called the Corporate Relations Cell, which actually reached out to you guys, and which the mandate for which is basically to reach out to brands outside of the campus for partnerships and collaborations. Then we have an in-house media body. We were just talking about YouTube, and we were talking about video and audio. And so we have an institute media body. It's called IITM TV, and they have their own YouTube channel as well. We also have a blog where we conduct interviews with alumni. It's called Chennai 36. And finally, we have the body that I head, which is called the Institute Branding Cell, which basically seeks to brand the institute through various activities across stakeholders like alumni, like aspiring students who might want to join IIT Madras, who've just given JEE, their parents, professors. So that is basically how this council functions.
That's quite an exhaustive list of things that the council does, and I am sure that it must be doing wonders in the campus as well.
We have a range of activities in which we involve ourselves. So we have year around we have alumni networking events where we organize events where successive alumni come back to the institute in the form of reunions. We have also an alumni association that annually conducts a huge corporate networking event. And then definitely we have all of these other forms of informal forms of engagement on YouTube, on social media. We have leadership lecture series and these sorts of things. And now, as previously discussed, uh, due to the rise in the podcast scene, we've shifted to podcasting and the audio format.
Absolutely, Jayat. Here, I would like you to mention about the power of the alumni association, about the power of the alumni committee that a college holds in its campus. Because we all know that whenever we find ourselves in a fix, we always run to our seniors to help us out. So, I would like you to elaborate a little bit on how the alumni association has been helping the students of IIT Madras at your campus.
Definitely. So early on, Surya mentioned this very wonderful thing. Uh, stories. Stories are really important, right? And if you go to your seniors, uh, you'll find that all of them have this unique perspective that they will give to you. This unique take on life, this unique take on fun days, how to approach things, uh, what they have planned for themselves in their lives. And there is something that is it's this peer-to-peer learning is very special because this is matchless. I mean, it cannot be matched in the sense of uh, this connection that exists between the alumni of uh, the community of the same institutes, alumni and student, does not exist in the outside world, where once you've left the institute, you go outside, you meet people. This connection is snapped. It does not exist. But if you look at all of the prominent colleges that or educational institutes of excellence that we all look up to, alumni are a very important part of their brand. And this brand is not just in a corporate sense. This brand is a very organic brand where the alumni are actively involved in mentoring students in student related activities. And so because of that sort of strong foundation, everyone who is part of that campus really grows along the years.
I think one thing that I would like to just add to Jayat's point is based on my experience in interacting with alums. The moment you reach out to them as an IIT Madras student who's in college, they just get so excited. And I think before we start the podcast, we almost always have a 10 to 15-minute conversation about what's happening at IIT Madras right now, which hostels we're in, did they win the hostel competitions, and what do they miss the most. So I think even making the tiny effort to reach out to someone, even on LinkedIn or shooting them a mail, I think alumni of any college, and especially IIT Madras, based on my experience, they're very receptive to helping you and shaping your path towards the future.
I absolutely agree with both the points shared here, and especially the fact that it's very important to stay connected with the people from your college, because in the end of the day, these people are the ones you can always look up to. Even if you're sending a small LinkedIn message, that goes a long way in building a connection or in building a network. So yes, and this brings me to another question, Surya and Jayat, and that is that what exactly is the vision of from Insti and Beyond, the podcast channel that you guys are running, and what are your future plans in regard to this channel?
As I said earlier, this podcast was started during with a bit to better connect our alumni community, and our alumni community in the sense that there was, as Surya said, there was a lack of a structural process through which we could reach out to uh, alumni who were at the top of their game, who were in their in their mid level of their professional life, and were heading these huge brands. And so those are people that could really offer advice to people who were graduating now, or for that matter relatively younger alums. And so the vision for this podcast as a whole is this podcast will definitely continue, uh, and for now with the other side, obviously. And the overall vision is to create an impact across, an economic domain, a social impact, and encouragement towards innovation and encouragement towards research, and to help people, develop an entrepreneurial mindset. Because one of the fortunes of getting advice from people who have already been through so many things uh, is that you really are able to get a perspective on how you should formulate your decisions, what things you could keep in mind while deciding what path your life will take. And so to build, to encourage and inculcate this culture of leadership and innovation uh, will be the vision of this podcast.
I think Jayat has covered most of what our vision is for the future, because we have been talking about it a lot and planning about where to take the podcast. I think in my head, only one other thing that I would like to cover is that we want the podcast to be to go beyond just IIT Madras. So right now the focus is on IIT Madras and IITM alums, but soon we hope to take it to other IITs, NITs, and other colleges in India. Uh, Maybe talk to their alums, talk to their students, get their stories out there. And I think that would serve as a very good inspiration to students studying there. I think hearing from your own alum is slightly different, slightly more inspiring than hearing from the student of some other college. I think it makes a difference, at least from what I've heard and the people I've spoken to. So besides that, we have focused a bit on management and C-suite executives for now. I think that focus also will shift a bit in the near future. I think in today's world, careers such as being a stand-up comedian, being a filmmaker, being an author, are also things that come into prominence. And I think covering those will also be the goal of our podcast. So I think we are looking at more holistic view of whatever is happening on the career side and all the stories that lie beyond the university gates.
Absolutely. That's an amazing vision that you guys hold. And I'm sure that From Insti and Beyond is not only going to stay put till IIT Madras, it's going to reach a lot more. It's going to reach a wider audience, and the beyond part in From Insti and Beyond will reach out to a lot of IITs and NITs, and you are going to connect with a lot of people in the near future. I hope that happens soon. Okay, and Surya and Jayat, you guys have often mentioned that you have connected with a lot of celebrities. Here, I would like to know the number of people and the number of leaders and celebs that you've connected with, so that our audience can get a better picture of where Insti and Beyond stands.
So as part of the other side, I think we conducted around 13 interviews, and now in From Insti and Beyond, we've conducted 4 interviews. I think that's where we've got these senior business leaders, and just talking to them itself is an inspiration. I think one of the interviews that Sabya and I treasure a lot is the one we did with Shiv Shivakumar. So Shiv sir is the group strategy head for Aditya Birla. Yeah, so both Sabya and I have fanboyed a lot over Shiv sir, and we've gone and watched all his videos on YouTube. So that was our preparation for the interview. So we went and watched all these videos, and I think there are hundreds of videos of him talking, of people interviewing him, and it was really inspiring to sit across from him and take his interview. I think even in the way he spoke, you could immediately see that he's a leader who really transforms teams and transforms organizations. And I think initially we were very nervous taking his interview, and that slowly changed. Also, a short story there. We kind of messed up regarding the schedule. So Shiv sir's interview was supposed to be on Saturday, but we forgot to convey it to him, and there was some mix-up in the schedule because of us. And he was kind enough to postpone it to Sunday, despite the error from our side. So he was really kind and really nice to us as well. And despite having messed up with such a senior leader, the interview ended up fine. And I think that's one of our most successful interviews till date as well. So I think that was our celebrity moment so far.
I can absolutely understand what you must have felt at that point in time, interviewing such a person, such a great leader at that point in time. It's amazing to see, and especially the point, and I think this is what sets leaders apart from all the other people, that they're always flexible, they're always considerate towards their schedules and towards the other people. So, moving towards the end of this session, what inspiring message would you like to share with the audience who is listening to you right now and with your listeners, the ones who listen to your podcast?
So I think that's a great question. And I'm really happy if anyone out there listens to this and listens to my podcast. It's since it's a personal initiative that the two of us have taken over the past 5 months. I think we obsess over every single increase in our listener base and every single increase in our Insta following. Uh, like even if it goes from 5,000, right now I think we've had 5,000 people listen to the podcast so far, and that's a huge number for us. And especially in the start, when we started out, we used to have numbers like 50 per episode, 100 per episode, and that slowly used to increase every single day. So uh, I really treasure all the feedback that we get from the listeners, and people telling us that really changed their perspective, really helped their lives. So that is one thing. I'm really thankful to all the listeners out there. And with regards to the message, I think only one message which I would like to share is that in university, it's definitely worth trying to do something of your own. It's a message that I seem to have understood very late. So in case people are there who are in their first, second, and third years, it's definitely worth trying out something on your own. Especially because even if you fail, the learnings from that far outweigh the negatives from the failure. I've through the course of this podcast, I've had the chance to talk to leaders. I've had to go out of my comfort zone. I don't like posting things on social media. This has forced me to do that. It's forced me to become my own cheerleader and own marketer. So I think starting something of your own does this to you. It pushes you out of your comfort zone, helps you meet new people, helps you get new ideas. I think that's the one takeaway I would love for people to have from this episode, from this video, that do try something of your own. It can be a startup, it can be a podcast, it can be your own blog, but it's something that you can always call your own, and something that will definitely teach you a lot, teach you things beyond what you learn in the classroom. And I think that's what will make a difference when you finally enter the corporate world.
So I'll keep my message very, so to speak, very short and basic. I know this is a very challenging time for everyone. So just hang in there, guys, and keep in touch with us. Keep in touch with the other side. Keep in touch with IIT Madras. Keep in touch with Dare to Compete. And yeah, I mean, IIT Madras is one of the most vibrant student communities. And, as you can see, there is this drive among students that we should contribute to society. And one of the lessons that I personally have taken away from listening to, from Insti and Beyond is a lesson of humility. Great leaders, as we just talked about, are, are humble leaders, and they invest in communities, they invest in people, and really bring them together and enhance the latent leadership in them. So yeah, all the best to everyone.
Thank you for sharing such inspiring message, Jayat and Surya. We hope that young students would look up to you for inspiration and motivation, and we also hope that they would look up to your podcast channel and hear inspiring stories from leaders across the world, and get motivated to do something in their own lives and to start a venture of their own. Thank you so much for being with us today on this session for this session. We wish you the best for your podcast channel from Insti and Beyond. We believe in the spoken word, and we hope that from Insti and Beyond reaches a wider set of audience in the near future. For everybody who is listening to us, who is listening to them, if you would like to know more about their channel, their podcast channel from Insti and Beyond, you can always look them up on Spotify and Apple. Till then, stay safe, stay home, and take care.